two different types of welding in the welding industry is going to be your structural welding, which is plate, and your pipe welding, which is pipe. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the different positions that you need to be in, as well as your rod needs to be in when welding these things with the stick welding process. So let's go over the four main positions when plate welding and how you should be situated welding them. So the first is 1G or 1F, which is flat. So when you're welding a flat surface with a stick welding rod, I like to position myself like this and brace my elbow or arm up against something, whether it's a post, whether it's the wall, and you want to have a 15-degree drag angle with 70/18. So if I'm welding this direction, I will get like this and weld as such. Versus if I'm going this way, I will do the exact opposite and use my left hand, okay? So that's for flat welding in the 1G or 1F position. Next is going to be horizontal, okay? So whenever you're welding something horizontal, you still want a 15-degree drag angle. And again, I'm going to brace up against something and weld it like such and go across through here. I see a lot of times people welding horizontal, they won't brace up against something and they'll weld and they'll be all wobbly. So always make sure you brace up against something to weld horizontal, flat, or the other two that I'm going to talk about. The next one is going to be vertical welding. Now, vertical welding is probably the hardest out of the four different plate welding positions to weld in. So what I do is I like to put my rod in the stinger at a 45-degree angle, and then I will again brace my arm up against something and then weld it like such and slowly move up the plate. This angle just helps me get in a more comfortable position to weld vertical. Some guys like to put the rod straight out like this and then tilt their hand, but I just put it in there like that and it makes it way easier. Now the next position is going to be overhead welding, which is 4F or 4G. So we got 1G, we got 2G, we have 3G, and then we have 4G. 4G is overhead welding. So what I do is I put my rod in the stinger vertically out of it, and then I will again brace up against something and strike it like a match and weld it towards me. You always want to weld towards you when you're welding overhead, that way you can see the rod, and then tilt your head around the rod to see the puddle, okay? So again, we have 1G, 2G, 3G, and 4G, okay? So that is the basic positions that you need to be in for structural welding or plate welding. Okay, so we went over structural welding, plate welding. Let's go over what it's like to pipe weld with the stick welding process. Now, so pipe welding is a combination of all four different positions when you're plate welding. Again, on the bottom you have overhead, on the side you have vertical, and the top you have horizontal and flat welding. So that's the cool thing about pipe and plate welding. They're interwoven and intertwined. And that's why we always stress here at KWI, if you don't take the time to understand the basics of plate welding, you're going to have a lot harder time pipe welding, because everybody when they come here, they want to rush through the plate and get to the pipe. If you don't master the plate welding, you're going to have a lot harder time welding the pipe, and it's going to make your life here at KWI a lot harder. These are the different positions that you need to be in when you're plate welding and pipe welding. They are intertwined, so whenever you're learning how to weld plate, it's going to help you out on pipe. Whenever you're welding, make sure that you are getting the right form and the correct posture whenever you're welding plate and pipe. It's going to help you along the road whenever you come to a welding school like the Kentucky Welding Institute. Catch you on the next one.